Next speaker is Michael Ayres. Not sure where Michael is sitting. Michael has really transformed the partnership that this university has with the work that he's been doing with Chelsea Football Club. I don't think any university the size of St Mary's could ever envisage having such a valuable partner in a club like Chelsea. So Michael, as you probably know, is the programme director for our Chelsea Foundation coaching degree, which will shortly be having hopefully having a top-up year, which will turn it into a BSc as well. And I think he deserves huge credit for the work that he has done on that. Michael tells me that he is the owner of 62 pairs of training shoes, which either suggests that he's a fairly manic runner and runs mile upon mile, or he's got a very tolerant wife and a very big wardrobe. He also tells me he's had lunch with Roman Abramovich, which may be partly behind the link that we have with Chelsea. But I'll say no more and hand you over to Michael for his talk. Michael, over to you.
Thanks, John. We're going to go from something very scientific to something completely the opposite, so apologies for that. As practitioners in higher education, within education and sports coaching, we often use this term understanding, yet do we really and truly know what it actually means? So as an example, we will often use the word understanding in relation to knowledge, but those are different sides of the same coin. So hopefully we're going to explore today, how do we shift from knowing something to truly understanding it? And I'm sure we've all asked our students or young players that we've worked with to verbalise a response, and they're able to verbalise that response, but sometimes are unable to put that into action. If we look at the current national curriculum as well, understanding, knowledge, skills are words that are consistently used throughout, yet probably understanding is the one we know least about. Now, if we take the work of German philosopher Grimm in 2012, he suggests that understanding is made up of the ability to grasp something and also see something. So by grasping something, he considers that as individuals we're able to understand the number of components there are in a complex system and the relationship between those components. And then moving on from that, the ability to see something is how we might anticipate changes in that complex system to maybe afford us more time for a specific behaviour outcome that we're after. Now, surprisingly, very little research has been conducted into the concept of understanding. If we consider Harvard University's teaching for understanding, so a pedagogy of understanding, they suggested that teachers who taught for understanding allowed their students to develop deep conceptual and procedural knowledge. And a significant outcome of their studies suggested that those students were able to think more flexibly and were able to use their knowledge and skills in different ways, particularly when unanticipated challenges or problems arose. Now, I'm going to suggest that moving from knowing to understanding requires not only grasping and seeing, but two other concepts. I've got a short video for you to watch. Think about your physiological response when you see this video. Now, lots of studies have shown if we even think about sucking a lemon, we have some sort of physiological response. So that might be, we might shudder, we might start to salivate, we might start to cringe. Now, that physiological response is a subset of resonance, and that ability to resonate, we would argue, is a subset of understanding. So, in order for us to move from knowing to understanding, we have to consider empathetic resonance and also this concept of embodied cognition. Now, when we talk about a very simple diagram of us passing a ball, it could be in football, netball, hockey, when we coach it or teach it, there's normally a very technical element to how we set it up and to the language that we might use. Shifting from that technical model to a model that embodies understanding and empathetic resonance would mean allowing me as the passer of the ball to actually truly understand how the player receiving the ball would feel as I make that pass. So effectively, we're almost sending a text message with that pass attached to it. So not only am I entering the private and perceptual world of my teammate, but there is message on the pass or on the throw that allows the player to make decisions before they have received the ball. This is a concept, those of you who are into football, that Barcelona have embedded into their coaching pedagogy at a very early age. So they will have systems set up whereby if I pass the ball to John, my movement as I make the pass will tell John exactly what he needs to do with the ball, rather than any verbal communication taking place. And then the other element of this is this concept of embodied cognition. Now, more often than not, we view the hockey stick, the ball, the football, the netball, as something that is an external object that we have to shift from one person to another. The concept of embodied cognition, and if we take the metaphor of the blind person with their stick, means that that ball or that object that we send is no longer an external object, but that object becomes part of us. So if we look at Merleau-Ponty's work, suggested that a blind person with a walking stick, or a white stick I should say, the feeling is extended beyond the hand. So the feeling now and the thinking actually takes place within the stick because it becomes an extension of that person's body. So likewise, if we consider games as complex systems, the ball, our teammates, the opposition become part of us. And so no longer do we take this reductionist approach of reducing things into small and significant parts. So what does this mean in terms of how we might engage young people in a coaching or physical education setting? I would argue that we need to move from this still very didactic, technical-based approach to an approach more concerned and centred around this concept of interactions, whether that's on a human level or on a physical level. So we would argue that the ability to develop relationships with our players and how that in turn might then help us improve our ability to understand embodied cognition and also empathetic resonance would mean that we would be able to generate a deeper and greater understanding in the young people that we work with today. Thank you.